Welcome back to the 5th round where we're going to be previewing UFC Stockholm. Now it's been a while since we last had our last UFC event 2 weeks ago, but we're back in the European continent and we're going to Sweden where we've got Alex Gustafsson versus Anthony Smith. Now this is more of the battle of who's the best light heavyweight who isn't Jon Jones. We've got ranked number 2 and ranked number 4. Both of these fighters' last fights were in fact Jon Jones with Gustafsson at UFC 232, where of course he got finished and Jon Jones recaptured the light heavyweight title, and then it was Anthony Smith who challenged Jon Jones after that at UFC 235 again. He lasted a little longer, but it was a dominant victory for the champion. And this is really who's best at number one. You've got Gustafsson, who lost twice now to Jon Jones, and you've got Anthony Smith who went through a very vicious 5 rounds of skill class compared to Jon Jones. Now you've got Jon Jones fighting at UFC 239 against Thiago Santos. So you've got Alexander Gustafsson, you've got Thiago Santos and Anthony Smith all looking to topple probably the best ever in Jon Jones, and he makes it look easy at times, especially he did at UFC 235, other than maybe that nut shot, or actually it was a kick whilst an opponent is grounded, which almost cost him the fight. But Anthony Smith continued valiantly and took the decision loss, and I'm sure he's learnt a lot from it. So it's going to be interesting to see what he's picked up and developed on. It's quite a quick turnaround from March now into the end of May, coming into June. So yes, this is the number 2 light heavyweight versus number 4. So should Anthony Smith win, you'd probably see him pushed back up to number 1/number 2. Adding to that, Gustafsson has a record of 18 wins and 5 losses compared to 31 wins and 14 losses there for Anthony Smith. So yes, there's almost a golden class in terms of the amount of fights, with 31-14, that's 45 fights for Anthony Smith compared to only 23 for Alexander Gustafsson. And you could say they're on similar levels in terms of expertise, in terms of skill. Jon Jones versus Gustafsson is one of the best fights ever, whereas Anthony Smith versus Jon Jones was much more of the one-sided sort of event, should we say. Now height-wise, there's only an inch in that between him, with Gustafsson standing at 6'5". Got that Viking blood. They're all giants over in Scandinavia, and Anthony Smith at 6'4". Now Gustafsson has a better reach and leg reach advantage here, with 3 inches on the reach of his hands and a 2-inch leg reach advantage for him. So you should be expecting him to dominate that range, to be able to get his punches in without being hit as heavy and as hard and as often as Anthony Smith should be. And of course, if he can get those kicks in range. Now I believe both have a decent ground game, which we'll get to further on in the video, but at the moment it looks like it's going towards the Mauler's way. Now out of Gustafsson's 18 wins, 60% of them have come via TKO or KO methods. You'd be expecting this fight, should it go in the favour of the Swede, to be either a knockout or TKO finish, and should not be expecting this fight to reach the bell, as in fact Anthony Smith has a 58% win advantage via TKO or KO method. Now moving on to striking, Alexander Gustafsson has 4.01 strikes per minute compared to just over 3 there for Anthony Smith. So the Swede will be throwing a lot more significant strikes at 4 per minute in a 25-minute fight, as this is the main event. I'd expect him to be having a higher output. Now whether he has a better gas tank than Anthony Smith, who did go 5 rounds last time, compared to Gustafsson, who I believe looked done after 3 or 4 rounds, and of course got choked out. Well, he got taken to the ground and finished quite easily by Jon Jones in that last round of the fight. Now Anthony Smith does absorb more strikes at 4.86 strikes per minute in this battle for the number 1 contendership in the light heavyweight division. So Gustafsson is going to be outputting more, landing more strikes, and Anthony Smith is going to be absorbing more. So it doesn't look good for him at the moment going into this fight, based on the statistics, that is. Now Gustafsson has a better defense at 51% compared to Anthony Smith's 43%. So what we're saying is Alexander Gustafsson has a better output of strikes compared to Anthony Smith. Anthony Smith, in fact, absorbs more as well, and Alexander Gustafsson does have a better defense. So based on those statistics, you're going to be looking at The Swede getting a home victory in front of the Stockholm crowd and potentially line up a trilogy fight against Jon Jones, should Jon Jones defend his title at UFC 239. Now, neither of these fighters are heavily known for their grappling skills, but Alexander Gustafsson does have a slightly better takedown average at 1.63 compared to about 0.6 for Anthony Smith. So saying that you're going to be expecting 1.6 deaths per 15, so maybe two takedowns in this 25-minute fight compared to just over one for Anthony Smith. But Anthony Smith does have submission victories, as does Gustafsson. But I don't see this fight playing out on the ground as much. I don't see this being a jiu-jitsu competition or a wrestling competition. I think these two are going to go at it on the feet, and it's going to be a kickboxing match compared to previous fights that we've seen recently. Now, saying that Gustafsson does have the better accuracy as well at 40% for Alexander Gustafsson, so you're going to be expecting him to get at least, I think you're going to get him, so I think you're going to see him get at least one, maybe two takedowns in this fight, should it be needed, should he need a rest, or really, if he's losing a round or two, he can get the takedowns in and really win that round back, potentially, if he's got 2 or 3 minutes on there, get some work in. He's got some good strikes on the ground, he's got a good ground and pound game. He's got an all-round game, actually. Gustafsson's a brilliant fighter. It's such a shame that Jon Jones is in his division, because I think you take Jon Jones out of that, Gustafsson's definitely a champion by now, and he's probably been a champion for the last 2-3 years, potentially. And of course, Daniel Cormier's been in that division as well, so it's not been a good ride for Alexander Gustafsson. Now, just like takedown accuracy, Alexander Gustafsson has a better defense as well, at 84% compared to 50%. So we said that we're going to be looking at maybe 2 takedowns in the 25-minute match should it reach its peak, and the end bell, we're going to see 2. So you're going to be looking at Anthony Smith defending at least one of those, and compared the other way around, if Anthony Smith only gets 2 in per 25, then and 84% of them are going to be 84% of those 2 are going to be stifled, so it's going to be hard for Smith to take Gustafsson to the ground, I imagine, in this fight. Now, this fight's not one that I see going to submission, although Anthony Smith does have submission victories in his resume. Both do, but Anthony Smith has a much more recent submission in his resume. I don't think this fight is going to be won by a submission. I think it's either going to be a decision, 5-round war, probably towards Gustafsson, or it's going to be a KO TKO victory for one of the 2 fighters. And again, if I'm on the mic, one of those, and I'm one of those who win this fight, I'm calling out Jon Jones, Thiago Santos. I'm calling out the winner of UFC 239. Maybe potentially a fight with Daniel Cormier, who's ranked 1 in the light heavyweight rankings, despite not fighting in that division currently. So I think you've also got Johnny Walker returning, and Dominic Reyes is coming up the rankings very quickly as well. So Gustafsson versus Anthony Smith, it's a big fight for both of those in their career. One could probably getting you a title shot if you win, but a loss could be pulling you down to those 5th and 6th rankings. And that's not what you want to see, but it's good to see the light heavyweight division having 6-7 competitors who could all be champions, really. But again, with Jon Jones at the peak of that mountain, it's going to be hard for anyone who tries to climb it and take down the GOAT. So yes, I'm backing Alexander Gustafsson in this fight. I think he's going to get it inside 4 rounds. I think he's going to get a TKO victory against Anthony Smith. I think Anthony Smith has a brilliant heart on him. I think he's got a great skill set, but I think it's setting the stars for Gustafsson in Stockholm, in his home nation, in front of his home crowd. And I think we're going to potentially be looking at the billing of Jon Jones versus Alex Gustafsson 3, potentially in November, because Jon Jones has been very active himself. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow's fights. We've got the likes of Jimmy Manuel and Chris Fishgold fighting on the card as well, so we've got some British roots on there as well. So yes, it's a great weekend. These European cards, we need a European pay-per-view, hopefully in England, so I can finally get to a UFC event live. It'd be nice to have an event in somewhere like Ireland. We've not had a card in Ireland recently, or Manchester. We've of course had Liverpool and London over the past 12 months. But I'd like a bit more than that. Potentially Birmingham with Leon Edwards. And, France, somewhere in the region of mainland Europe would be very, very welcome. We've had St. Petersburg this year and Stockholm. And we're looking forward to see what the UFC brings. So it has been a very good 5 months now. So yes, I'm backing Gustafsson here in this fight. Let me know in the comments who. Let me know in the comments who you are backing towards this fight. Any fighters that you think are going to be the fighter of the night, performance of the night, perhaps who's going to be the wild card in this fight night in Stockholm. Now make sure you follow Cage Chat YT on the socials. That's for both Instagram and Twitter. Make sure you subscribe to Cage Chat, and I'll see you on Monday to review UFC Stockholm.